All right, welcome everybody to another live session with the Hype Magazine. This morning we have Dr. Chris Donaghue. He is a psychotherapist, sex therapist, host of the Loveline radio show. He's on Amber Rose show with Dr. Chris, and he's also the author of the new book, Rebel Love, which drops January 8th, 2019. He's also a frequent co-host of the Doctor's TV show. So today he's with us to talk about why we need to be more, as American men, we need to be more in touch with ourselves and our emotions to become a better partner. Dr. Chris Donaghue, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jerry.
Awesome. So we want to celebrate the fearlessly feel more man. Talk to me about why we need to be more in touch with ourselves as Americans.
Sure. Yeah, and I remind guys this. It's a really overwhelming thing for a lot of guys. I even mentioned the word self-care, and guys are like, I don't know what that means. I go to the gym. Is that what we're talking about? And I say to them, that's important. But, you know, guys are suffering high rates of depression and anxiety, and they're burnt out, and it's impacting their relationships and their marriages and their sex lives. So I tell guys, look, if we can focus on self-care, and I'll talk more about what that word means, it's going to make you happier. It's going to give you more self-esteem. You're going to do better at work. Your relationship is going to be better. We have to start talking about this.
Yeah, well, with the stressful holiday season on, it's definitely an important time for American men to take care of the physical and emotional needs. There's a lot of stress to please everybody else. And so talk to us about this recent survey that there's men who feel more emotional and practice self-love and self-expression are likely to experience.
Absolutely.
Thriving relationships with their partners.
So Donaghue did a study. It's the 2018 Global Self-Pleasure Report. And what they were trying to do is look at what are the sexual habits for American men and men around the world, and what are the outcomes as a result of that. And what they saw was that 90% of us think that being a man means you always have to be aggressive and assertive, and that it's always about physical strength. But the study also showed that 70% of guys also want to have the ability to be a little more emotional at times. We're realizing that it's exhausting to always be the standard guy. And so the question then became, well, if being more emotional and sensitive is going to help us with self-esteem and happiness in our jobs and relationship, how do we get there? So the work I'm doing with Donaghue is talking about how self-care is tied to sexual health and wellness, and that we focus on our physical health. We might know it's good to eat better and go to the gym, but what are we doing for our emotional safety and health? What are we doing around our sexuality? And so I talk to guys about folding in more forms of self-care and self-pleasure.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, self-pleasure, I think, is self-explanatory, but a lot of guys are embarrassed to talk about it. And it obviously ties into the emotional health. So, you know, why is that so important?
Yeah, so when I work with guys and I bring up these terms, they're like, it sounds great, being more emotional. I think it could help me with my kids. It could help me in my job, my friends, my girl. So I say to them, okay, so let's talk about how we do that. A lot of guys really kind of skimp out or are lazy on, number one, just grooming. So I say to guys, take more time on how you're grooming yourself. Take more time to do things that are nourishing and relaxing, like take a bath. That was overwhelming for me when I first heard about something like that. And then I talk about things like self-pleasure. I say to guys, hey, do you have any self-pleasure and wellness products? And the guys always say no. And that's kind of where my work with Donaghue comes in, where I say to guys and the women in their lives, purchase some self-pleasure products. Why? Because that's basically saying I'm important, right? My solo sexuality is important. Spending time with myself is important. And so Donaghue has a campaign called Feel More. You can go to feelmore.global to get more information on that. But I say to guys, take more time to focus on yourself, and in your relationship, practice being more emotionally expressive. Practice expressing all of the emotions you experience.
You know, a lot of guys might feel a little more hesitant to express their feelings because they're afraid of appearing weak or less masculine. I mean, are there any tips for becoming more confident when you're expressing your emotions?
Yeah, number one, I say to the ladies out there, try to be supportive. of the guys in your life when they start to express more sensitive emotions. Don't shame that. Don't say words like toughen up and be manly, because that actually not only works against you, it also decreases men's health. It leads to more anxiety and depression. And so I say to guys, it's not only about practicing, but also pay attention to the media that you surround yourself in. Start to follow some things on your social media that reinforce some of the things I'm talking about. But also, again, take time to just do some self-care, self-pleasure things. Focus on your grooming. Focus on taking things like baths. Focus on things like self-pleasure. All the things that might not necessarily feel as manly, but are going to be really healthy and important for us.
I have to admit, that within certain communities, are we in a danger by these blanket statements, though? Are we in danger of kind of being like the old Iowa basics test in school, saying that, everything applies to the same people the same way? I mean, how do you address like cultural issues and mores when it comes to the self-pleasure portion?
Yeah.
And the self-expression portion?
It's a great question. Different cultures and different identities that we carry in the world, whether it's socioeconomics or race and class and all those different factors, are going to definitely shift that. So I'm making a lot of generalized statements, but the studies, consistently show for everyone, because this is a global report, so it's various countries and cultures. It shows that the most of the time that people that focus on feeling more, it always shows positive increases in self-esteem and happiness. So we have to kind of push back on some of those cultural limits that we feel like we live in and have in our lives.
Okay. I'm rocking with you on that one. So let's get into it. What are some of the gift recommendations that encourage men to be fearless about feeling more?
Absolutely. And for some of us, there are things that we're not used to, but the women that I work with in my practice, and they say the holiday's coming up or someone's birthday's coming up, and I want to start being in a relationship with a guy that's more emotionally available, more expressive, has more time and energy for relationships and sexuality, I tell them a couple things. Grooming products are a really great entry point for guys to really focus on, how do I feel? Do I feel desirable? Am I focusing on taking care of myself? And also with Tango, we talk about sexual wellness and health products. And we have a whole bunch of information and products. You can go to tanga-global.com or feelmore.global, and there's a whole lot of information there for you.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want us to know? I mean, we need to, let's talk about the book real quick.
Absolutely.
What are we going to find in Rebel Love? Break the rules, destroy toxic habits, and have the best sex of your life. Dropping January 8th.
Yeah, that's a big promise in that book title. But basically, it's going to be about expanding your sexuality. It's going to be about how do we step outside the limited norms and values of where we operate. Because generally in sex, a lot of times we will operate from our limits and we get into habits, and that leads to a lot of sexual boredom. So the book is about challenging all that and finding ways to really keep it diverse and creative and fun.
We hear all the time, you got to keep it fresh.
Totally.
Got an exciting forward by Amber Rose. Looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Once again, Doc, let's give them where we can find more information and some of these gift products.
Yep. Yes. You go to feelmore.global or tanga-global.com.
All right. Dr. Chris Donaghue, I'm standing by for this book in Rebel Love. And thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Be well. Bye-bye.
Be well.
As an artist, we should reflect the time.
Why you so talented?
Cause I'm black.
Why you so amazing?
Cause I'm black.
It's really important that we build characters so that people understand their story matters.
2 Chainz and I both are just really into good food.
And when you know you are royalty, you will only aim in life to be royalty.
We're doing it right now. I don't give a damn what they say about me. Yes, I called your ass out. I know I shouldn't be saying this kind of.
Shout out to Hype Magazine Network.
Shout out to the Hype Magazine Network.